This is Notes on Now, paying attention to the present. I'm so excited to have you on today. I saw you on CBS talking about your app. And before we get into what the Ailo app is and why you created it, can you just tell me a bit about yourself and how you ended up coming into the world of relationships and then coming up with this idea for the dating app?
Sure, absolutely. I was in tech for a long time in creating solutions and softwares, and this is pre-AI. And then later on, I went in back to the human sciences and the art of relationships and what makes us compatible or incompatible and things of that nature. And then I merged the two, and here we are, right? So I spent over a decade in tech, over a decade in human sciences and human nature. And I found a very unique symbiotic relationship between technology and humanity and what it means to be human and how do we coexist and benefit from each other. And so AI is just one angle of it, which actually does change the course of how we move forward and how we conduct ourselves and how we utilize it and how it impacts our romantic relationships. And we'll get into that, I'm sure. But I've always been a seeker of new information, but also ancient wisdom as well.
I love that. And I did see that you've come from tech, but you've segued into coaching and
Yes.
into dealing with people and that being the relationship aspect. And I wonder, as you evolved from, I guess it's medical technology, you would say originally, into being more people focused, what is the thing you think people are seeking the most when they're looking for love that technology has been able to help them with?
So the most predictable answer would be that everyone's seeking to be loved. Love is what we're all in search of. But in reality, what we want the most out of anything in life is to feel seen, to be understood, to feel that the infamous question of who am I and what am I here to do and be and become, right? We lean towards books, personal development, technology, obviously our conversations, mentorship, and things of that nature. But fundamentally, underneath it all, it's about being seen. And that's what I've always been after, because the reason our relationships become somewhat challenged and compromised is that people feel unseen in their relationship. And now this is be it at home or in business or at work. So if we can bring that to the forefront, that self-honoring first and foremost, and then bring that into the relationships that we have, we can make better choices, we can place ourselves in better playgrounds, and we can do better in our romantic relationships as well. And that's what I've always been after, to find the solutions to share with the world.
So tell me, first, let's set up my listeners for what is Ailo? How would you describe it as the founder?
So Ailo was the result of many years of working with people one-on-one. And when I say working with people, it's really just listening, it's observing, it's interacting, and seeing what are the common denominators when it comes to relationship challenges, right? And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about feeling seen, right? Being honored, feeling understood. A lot of times people put the relationship challenges under the umbrella of communication issues, right? Where you get to a relationship and you feel like, oh, but we can't communicate, or he's this way, or I'm that way, and that. But the common denominator is feeling seen, and then knowing how to stop turning each other into the other person, like ourselves. Like if I'm like this, I don't need to really have you subscribe to the same formula that works for me, but instead I need to understand how my uniqueness can complement yours. So when I started to see that in listening to people and working through their challenges and help them bring this understanding into their everyday conversations, I realized that we are working with a solution here rather than perpetuating the same old problem. That if you do this, I feel that way. And if you change course, then I will, this transactional you type of thing. So I put together Ailo as a love optimization tool. The name is an acronym. The AI is not artificial intelligence, the AILO. So the AI is authentic intelligence, and the L is for love, and O is for optimization.
Perfect.
So yeah, so it's really just about bringing using technology as a way to benefit us rather than disconnect us. Typically, we think of tech, and especially in the world of dating apps or social media and things of that nature, it's perceived as, oh, we're hiding behind the screens. We are masking our truth, our authenticity, our reality. We're trying to pretend, and the dopamine hit is prevailing over our souls being fulfilled. And there's a lot of truth to that, but technology can also help counter that as well. Technology can bring a wisdom, a solution that is shared one-on-one, but instead scale it and give it access to millions and billions of people. And so if I can feel seen using technology and connect with someone who complements my nature, that will eliminate a lot of heartaches and divorces and serial dating and exhaustions around how many frogs do you need to kiss to get to the prince type of thing.
I wonder because I think there is so much algorithm built into our world
Right.
currently, just whether it's in the way that we're served things on the internet, but even technology is everywhere. And I wonder, as you were coming up with this idea, and I love the idea of a love optimization tool because I think, especially now, people are struggling with relating to each other more than ever. That might be because of how much we are behind screens. Maybe we have forgotten, especially through the pandemic era, how to relate, and that relating isn't always perfect and curated. It's actually many layers of reconnecting and renegotiating. But
Absolutely.
an app that optimizes for love, and this is a personal question I have because, again, leaning into what makes us human and being a great romantic myself historically, that love was this thing that just happened, right? Like you meet somebody and then it just works with some people and others. And then
Yeah.
talking about optimizing it, you wonder, in your opinion, is there, can it become too formulaic? Is it really romance and love if we've done all this kind of mathematical curation of the experience?
It's a very good question. And it's very true. I want to move away from these algorithmic preset type of stuff. That's actually everything that Alo isn't, right? Alo just took something that I was sharing one-on-one with people that was helping them, that was giving love a chance to breathe, to bring compatible people together, and then let them do whatever they want to do to flourish and to blossom in their love. I wanted to give those people a chance to actually meet each other. I wanted them to connect with each other because compatibility is often misunderstood. It's looked at as like the combination of how similar we are. And when it comes to our differences, we're looked at as to how much compromise can we bring to the table to negotiate our differences. But there's a math to that. There's a science to that. There are reasons, like nature. When you look at a cactus versus a palm tree versus a sage tree, by looking at those trees, what they each need. You're not going to pluck a cactus and plant it in Montreal and say, okay, here we are now. I want you to just grow and thrive. It will wilt and die. It's just not the right habitat for it. And so the same thing applies in us as well. There are aspects of nature that show up in us, and we are using technology to actually help you see that in yourself and, in a way, understand what complements that part of your nature that's with you, regardless of where you live, what you do for a living, where you come from, and introduce you and increase the chances of you to meet somebody who has traits that complement yours. You see, so it's a very different thing than sitting there and creating a gamified algorithm that matches you based on if you both like yoga or if you both come from the same neighborhood or things like that. It's far more expansive, but yet it increases the chance of love sustaining itself over time.
How much kind of human interaction is there between the people as they're being matched? Do they just find a match and they communicate themselves? Like, how does it work?
The assessment that's integrated into ALO has been around for over 20 years and has been implemented and integrated in real life relationships. This wasn't a code, a dating app that just sounded like a good idea around this time to just throw it out there and
That
have
you
people.
that you built on Claude last week, right?
Exactly, exactly. This is years of research, years of real life. We actually, before we even turned it into an app, we had to test it out in with our real couples like that we have coached. And we really did this reverse engineering of the testing aspect of it to see that, okay, if I take what I know to be true, put it in code, share it, run a compatibility analysis, does it reflect the actual relationship that's in front of me? So we did that year after year, and we realized that we have something that is worth sharing with the world. And the 70% is actually a very important number because that's actually the sort of like the benchmark. That's the level where if you're above 70%, despite all the challenges in the world, because there are a lot of things we can't control, the trials and tribulations of life. But if you meet that 70% threshold of natural compatibility, you are more likely to have a stronger chance of weathering the storms of life together. Where if you're below 70%, any tornado can really put a rift in your relationship and like really just cause challenges that then make people just walk away from each other a lot easier. Now, nothing's guaranteed, but those numbers mean something. And compatibility in that sense is actually within Ailo is calculated through multiple pillars, we call them. It's the level of magnetic attraction and connection that matters. It's the comfort, we call it, that matters. Like, how comfortable do you feel in sharing a living space together based on your lifestyle preferences? We look at your connection with each other, the actual communication bridges that need to be established before you can verbally share your needs with each other. We look at your objectives, meaning like what drives you in life? Does that complement somebody else's motivation? We look at your timing. What does this season of life mean to you? And does that complement your partners? And we look at perspectives, that different measures of your view on life, your lens of life. So when those things are done and two people are presented in front of each other, all of a sudden it feels like, whoa, there is something about, and it could be different, right? Because those variations, those percentages matter, right? You can be really drawn to someone and feel this magnetic connection, but then they choose a place for you guys to meet at, and you go, oh,
Mm.
that place, like I could, that's not a match, right? Or that becomes something that is like the weaker link of the compatibility. But then you decide how much tolerance do you have for it? How much can you work with it? That's where like love will come in. I love this person. I'm really fascinated by the way we connect, but I'm not very keen on his choices when he picks out a place for us to dine at. So those things matter in a relationship because in the beginning, we neglect them because we're excited. Novelty puts the blindfolds on,
Oh
you
yeah, the
know?
blinders.
Yeah, the blinders, and we just want to bank it all on love. Oh, but I love you, and I love will endure everything. But if it did, we wouldn't be having such problems in our relationships. So I want to set people up on the right foundation right at the beginning. Is it going to take a little bit longer? Yes, it's not your typical dating app. There's no swiping. There is an endless amount of people for you to decide if you want to swipe right or left on. And so I wanted to help people basically save them time, money, and energy and protect their heart.
I think those pillars are really, it's like, it's all the things that you know you should consider, but the
Right.
blinders at the beginning lead a lot of people into the wrong relationship because at that point, it is just the magnetism. It is just physical attraction or excitement, or even where you are in your life. You could meet somebody when you're just looking for an adventure and someone is adventurous, and then you might, is that the person for the rest of my life? I don't know. Probably not. But I wondered if you've, as you guys have been running this program, I'll call it, over the years, there's been this conversation about the younger generation dating less, right? They're not dating like maybe our generation. They're dating a lot less. They're not as interested. They're not really into love. And so I wonder on the user base, if you are seeing that, and maybe you don't have that kind of data, but what are the demographics that you're seeing really getting on an app like yours. And obviously, I think there's something to the maturity of the Ailo app, which is people that are
Right.
probably intentional, which probably means a bit more mature at a certain different place in their lives or careers, not wanting to waste time. But
Right.
I just wondered if you could speak to what you're seeing in the dating trends across like ages and that.
Right. Yeah, so something very interesting is happening. One is that the dating apps went through, I don't know if you knew, but the very first computing matchmaking dating app was created. Let me ask you, do you know in what year?
I'm just going to throw a number out there, but I think it was match.com. I feel like it was match.com, but I'll say 19. Okay, it's obviously not match.com. I'll say 1994.
Okay, this is going to really surprise you. The very first online matchmaking, computer dating type of thing was actually developed in 1959.
Whoa.
1959,
Were
two students.
computers? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, they were massive. There were IBM computers, and yes, they were around. This was at Stanford by two students at Stanford, and it was part of their final project. And they actually created an assessment, and they wanted it to be, it was like for a school project, and they had beta testers and data points, and they matched people, and it was really cool because it stemmed from there. That was the very first time two people attempted to create an online date or computer algorithm for matchmaking. There's
Wow.
actually a really cool YouTube video on it as well. But I bring this up because I have spent a lot of time studying the evolution of dating, online, offline, traditional matchmaking, the way families match someone for each other, arranged marriages. I've spent a lot of time looking into all of this, especially with the boom of the apps, because when Match came into the scene, it was all web-based, right? There were no like real apps out there. And then they turned it into mobile devices, and we're all on our phones, right? Every time you step out, everyone's on their phone. If someone's looking up and actually walking straight without a phone, that's a rare breed.
Mhm.
Everyone's on their devices. So apps became really popular in, especially in the late 90s, going into the 2000s. Dating apps, Match.com became an app, and then you got a lot of different kind of swipe type of technologies or sorting, we'll call them, type of text that came into the world, which really was about access. And the reason they became popular was that you didn't know if someone was single. And because you spend so much time on your device, you assume that people are also looking to meet somebody if they're on an app. So it took the pressure off because it takes courage to walk up to someone not knowing if their partner is around the corner. So that was the very first emotional kind of thing that drew people to the apps because they wanted to see someone's photos first. And then most importantly, they wanted to know if that person is actually single before they approach them. So that was like the first thing. Then what happened with apps is that they became a little more niched. Like, okay, are you into meeting somebody who's there was a farmers.com or farmers app came out. There was
Only.
farmers only. There was plenty of fish. We don't need to name them. They were very specific to what kind of demographic they catered to. But people were drawn to them because of the accessibility and then the popularity of these apps. Now, what we've seen over the last 10 years that apps have over time turned dating and romance into a game, into a very fast pace. They've turned romance into a disposable activity. So it's almost, yeah, there've been some great marriages and relationships that have come up with it, but for the most part, they've rewired our brain and our perspective and perception on love. Now add social media to the game, and that's a whole different parameter. And so it's really just about who's going to catch my attention or who's going to find me desirable. That exchange became incredibly popular and accessible. The reason I wanted to bring Ailo to the picture is that it isn't actually just about whether you are a Gen Z or a millennial or a Gen X or a boomer, or it's really about people that just aren't looking for access only. They want something a little bit more meaningful. They want a little more insight. And we live in a world where we want to be out there and socialize, especially post-COVID. right? The last thing you want to do is sit there and just aimlessly swipe when you have other things, other options going on. So I'm using technology as a form of you asked me if this is a dating app. It's actually shortcutting doing a disservice to call it a dating app. It is a matchmaking app. It is a science-based analysis of your nature versus somebody else's nature. So it's so much more deeper than that. So it is love empowered by insight. And for those who still want to have a quick meet up here and there and they want to swipe and they're enamored by someone's photos, there are plenty of options available for you. But we have seen that when we did our study, that actually the 25 to 30-year-olds are very much interested and very excited about Ailo because they too are getting tired of the hookup culture. They want something more meaningful, actually more so than the millennials and the Gen X's.
Wow.
So it's a very interesting thing. And when we go to like events where there are people doing activities that they enjoy, they want to know something more about the person, not just, are you going to go on a run with me? Or are you going to do arts and crafts with me? They want to learn something more about themselves and about somebody that they choose to spend their time with. And because Ailo offers that, it crosses boundaries and generations, and it really impacts everyone's life for the better.
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear. But I can see how the younger generation would just be, I think we're all there, but there is this, yeah, over gamification of society, and that people are craving something a bit more real. I would ask you, I think for myself, I've never personally used dating apps. I think there was between one relationship, I'm married now, but one relationship that I was in and then my marriage, I think I went on a date, right? It was like I got on Hinge, or maybe one or two dates. And it was
Uh-huh.
just the most, it was bizarre, but there was this desire because people, once you're over a certain age as well, and you're not in school and you're not in these big groups of people with similar interests at similar points, you're like, how do you meet people? And I just remember it feeling so, it's based on a photo and like a blurb. Like
Mhm.
on this one app, it's like an answer to a question. And then you like chat for a day or two, and then you go and you meet up. And I remember sitting there across from this person who was a lovely person, and I saw his sneakers. just I just it was the sneakers. It wasn't that they were bad. They weren't dirty. There wasn't anything like that. They were like super cool sneakers. And there was just something about it that I was like, if I had met this person in real life originally,
You would have that.
I would have seen that. Like it would have been a, you said, wait, what'd you say?
I said you wouldn't have talked to them or approached them
Not
because
talk to them. I probably would have noticed a difference in style. To me, the style of sneaker he was wearing meant he was like a sneakerhead, which at the time is like certain cultural thing that we probably wouldn't have. But now I'm on this dinner, and once I saw that and I realized that in myself, I was like, I have to finish this date. And there was many other factors of inattraction in that thing, the incompatibilities, and we just went on that one lovely date, and it was it. But I guess I wanted to ask you, as someone who doesn't have a lot of experience and who kind of shies away from, or now I'm not using them, always just found them to be a bit cold and incapable of emulating real natural engagement, not just attraction, but like meeting someone in real life. Would you be open to sharing a personal story, like your experience dating and what made you think personally, like this is something people need outside of your experience, work history with this kind of work?
no, absolutely. What you're saying is really relatable for a lot of people as well, for two reasons. One is that we do have to factor in that human people are people and their energy, and you have to be in someone's energy, and you have to want to be open to hear their story a little bit to understand them. A static profile can't do that. And a lot of good people that actually should be together get lost in the pool of endless swipes. So they never get a chance to be presented in front of each other. And that was my goal with Ailo, to actually get those guys to meet up. And you can still find something that you don't like about them, but that may not be the core of who they are. That might be a phase, a fashion phase that they're going through, and 6 months from now they may hate those sneakers. And but you missed out because you didn't like the, I'm not saying you in that case, but
But it
hey,
goes both ways, because I guess I shared that story as something in the profile made me think that we were very compatible. And then I saw something like the sneakers and I thought maybe we're not so compatible. But it could go the other way too, which is when you're swiping, you're like, oh, I don't like the hat he's wearing in that picture, or I don't like that
Yes.
she looks so silly in those pictures. And then that person could have been your match, but you just, because you're swiping based on these very artificial things, yeah, you're missing out on a huge segment of people.
Yes, I kept seeing that over and over again. And then I realized, oh my God, we got to do something about this because that's what's creating a lot of opinions out there and misconceptions and judgment and people just holding themselves back from living the life that they want to live. And I also, on a personal note, when I'm out and about, I can look around and I know exactly whether two people just at a glance would be compatible or not. And
You?
not, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for myself as well. And I always say, I'm like, it's not about, it's like you don't want to keep, there's a misconception that sometimes dating coaches will tell people you have to go as many dates as possible. If you want to get married, if you want to be in a relationship, you have to be active. You just have to go at it. And that, just hearing that, I'm like, oh God, no, what are we doing to people? We can't do that. It's, would you rather meet the wrong person multiple times or the right person just a few times? Right? Because that's the thing. Like I can look at two people and based on the analysis of certain traits, I know I could forecast where their relationship can lead. And people often say, how do you know that? Are you a fortune teller? Are you this? And I'm like, no, it's science. It's the way I look at a plant. If I look at a leaf of a cactus versus a willow tree, I know the willow needs more water than a cactus does. I just know that because the science is in nature. I know if a tiger is tired and hungry, I'm not going to go play with it because it will claw my eyes out. So, because of that, so we've incorporated natural laws into human understanding so we can make our decisions appropriately. And I actually use the assessment in every decision I make because I know myself now. I know my nature. So when it comes to a romantic relationship, a business partnership, a friendship, where I'm going to go dine at, where I will vacation, it's something that becomes a part of you. And that's why the profile that we generate for you, instead of giving you a bunch of silly prompts to write about your favorite quote and whatnot, the auto-generated profile that Ailo creates is intended to introduce you to you first. And it's a different psychological impact that it actually creates than any other application out there because you're reading about yourself and you didn't have to write it. And that connection, it's almost like it's in third party, like someone else is introducing you to you, and you step back and you go, I want to get to know that person. I will go on a date with that person. And it's those natural innate traits. Again, there may be some flaws, there may be some toxicities, there may be some stuff. And you go, how did this app just put me in this picture perfect type of frame? But at our core, our nature is always wonderful. It's all the peripheral type of outside stuff that mask our perfection. So we wanted to bring that and change the narrative that way.
So I guess my final question for you will be, but can a cactus and a willow tree ever make a good couple?
Sure. They can, provided. So again, we're not just one thing. We've been cross-pollinating for hundreds of thousands of years. So there's so many different dynamics that are at play. So provided they have similar connections, communication styles, they see life through complementary lenses, and they know how to honor each other. So the cactus shouldn't give just a drop of water to willow and expect it to thrive. It will need that the willow needs a lot of water, which can equate to attention. And willow needs to know not to suffocate and drown the cactus with too much watering.
Mhm.
And the two can coexist beautifully.
I love that. I love that as an analogy, just because I do think a lot of people, they struggle. That's love, right? I think it's trying to find the person who's best willing to compromise, to grow, and to see you and the full
Yeah.
picture of yourself. And I'm very excited about the app. I think congratulations to you guys for getting it going. And I really look forward to seeing how it's received and over the years how it fares, because I do think it sounds like it has a much better chance of helping people find love and maybe friendships, maybe not just love, but good people that they can build real connections with. And I think we need that right now more
Yeah.
than ever.
And Christine, thank you for that. And I want to add something that's very noteworthy here too, is that beyond just helping people find love, we're actually rolling out a feature that's never been done before, and it's called Ailo Duo. And Ailo Duo is meant for a standalone compatibility analysis. So let's say you and your husband and somebody who's maybe, already has someone in their life, they can actually benefit from taking the Ailo assessment, see their profile generated. They won't be part of the dating pool. It's a completely standalone thing for a one-on-one analysis. And you get a compatibility report and a needs insight. A needs insight will say, what does Christine need based on these different categories to be authentic? And what do you need to feel honored? And it will give you your partners and yours side by side.
Wow. I love
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
So that's something for us. It's like Ailo's mission isn't just to help people find love, it's to optimize the way we love and give the tools and the insight that are necessary to keep it going and maintain its integrity and clarity.
Wow, that's exciting. I think that the duo segment sounds like it could help a lot of people, even people, married people already in
Exactly.
the relationships.
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Haleh.
Oh, well,
So lovely to have you and wishing you all the best and to finding love. To find
yes.
love.
Cheers. Cheers to love. Love is the
Cheers.
highest vibration of frequency that we have access to in the world, and we need to embrace it and make it better.